In this quick lesson, we're going to show you how we set up a printer in Windows with a printer share. Now, there are so many different printers and so vastly different pieces of software. Over time, they all change, that you must look upon this as a generic installation. It's not possible to cover everybody's printer. So if we open the device manager or the devices and printers or whatever it's called on your operating system version, we come here to the printers. I'm going to right click. I'm going to add a printer. I'm going to add a local printer, and for the purposes of demonstration I am going to create it as a local port, but I'm going to send it to this null port. And what that means is that even though I print, the print job will just disappear because there's no physical printer there to support it. So in your instance, you'd send this to an IP address, or you'd pick up the software installing the printer would pick up the printer over your network, or USB port if it's physically connected to your machine. So if I click next, I'm just going to pick up HP standard 4100, a PCL 6 driver, and again you'd install the driver that's applicable for your specific printer. I click next. I'm going to use the existing driver that's already installed here. Here, what's the printer name? I'm just going to call this after the location. I'm going to go front desk right 01 T1 for tray 1. And it's going to install it, and now it's automatically adding a share for this, and I'm just going to give it a description so it's easy for me to remember when I see it on the network. Front desk right tray 1. I could put a comment in here to say it's a HP 4100 laser jet, something like that, if I could type correctly. Click next. I don't want to set it as the default printer because I already have a default printer on this machine. It just needs to exist, because this could be a print server where I'm installing it and sharing it from a print server, or it could be on the local machine physically connected. Just going to click OK. And now I'm just going to set up a second printer. Do the same, just very quickly. Okay, I'm going to use the existing driver. Yes, and I'm going to call this one front desk right 01 tray 2. For example, if it helps you remember what this is about, I don't want to set it as the default, I'm going to finish. And here you'll see sometimes this is quite difficult to discern, but the print driver will realize that it's the same print driver I'm using, and then it sets it up as a tray 1 or tray 2. But you can clearly see that you have ability to define properties per printer. So what I'm going to do in here is in the printer properties on the tray 1, and again it's going to be very different on your setup. I'm just going to go to the printer defaults. Okay, and I would find here the default tray output, and I would then define this to only output to tray 1. And I would do the same with the tray 2, and I would default it to only output to tray 2. So then if I swap over to Opera, what I can do here is I'll just go into the configuration, go to setup, go to printers, click new, and I'll just add this here. Or if it's located on a print server, I'll just put in the UNC path, and it'll be cadenza svr01 / and the share name I've given the printer. Tray 1. And if I want to define this specific to one property, then I can do that. Just select that property, or 2 or 3 properties use this particular printer. I might have an apartment block that uses is a separate property, but it uses the same checkout or check-in desk. Okay, so I'm going to go to advanced, and I see that my use print client is checked, and that's fine. So I'm going to use my stream printing or my client-side printing for this. Paper size we don't need to worry about, it's sales and catering. Folio printer is only for specific countries, which again needs a more specific setup for that particular country. And use alert printing if this is your alert printer, then and you have the alerts function turned on, then you define the alert printer. So everything looks good here. Okay, and I'm going to set up the second printer. And again, it'll be cadenza svr01 / and tray 2. Descriptions always important, and only important when you're in trouble. So take the extra little bit of time to describe it correctly. Everything's good here, and click OK. And now I've got my front desk right, tray 1 and 2 defined. So that's how you create the share. That's how you define the printer in Opera. And if you join a little later on in another lesson, we're going to do some troubleshooting of how to make sure that that's working correctly.